Hello everyone and welcome to this fly tying video. Today we're going to tie an articulated streamer. It's gonna be this one. I don't have a name for this one yet. I promised this one quite some time ago in an Instagram post. So now I've finally come to do the video. So starting off at the back, we're gonna have a little smaller hook. This one is the Attitude streamer from Partridge in size 2. In front, we're then gonna go with the Gamakatsu F314. For you guys over in the States, you can use the Bead. Then to quickly go through the materials, this one is a quite easy tie, or it doesn't require a lot of materials. So for the back, I'm gonna use some polar reflector flash. It's gonna give really nice appearance. This one is in the color Rootbeer. The whole fly we're gonna tie in like a brown trout color scheme. So for the back I'm gonna use a rabbit strip. This one is the standard size and in medium brown. Then we're gonna articulate this with some pike wire or Partridge predator wire. This stuff right here, this one is the Partridge leader wire, 26 pound. And to get the spacing right for the articulation, I'm gonna use some 3D beads. I'm not sure which color, but one will be enough for this smaller size fly. And for the front hook we're gonna go with the same materials. For the back, some rabbit strip. For the body or the belly, some polar reflector flash. And then right in front, to build up the head, some laser dub. Here I'm gonna use two colors, one for the belly, it's yellow, and for the back some Sculpin olive, which is more like this reddish brown. And then to finish it off, some 6mm Deer Creek eyes and just some UV resin to secure all this together. The thread I'm using is the Nanosilk from Semperfly. This one is the 6/0 or the 100 denier in white. So I'm gonna start with a back hook. You always start with a back hook on your articulated flies. Gonna put down a layer of thread, going back to barb of the hook. Then we can cut off the excess and get our rabbit strip ready. And here you can either cut it into a little point like this, or just leave it straight, but just like to add this little touch. So for the length of this, we want the skin piece, skin here underneath, to extend one shank length back. So then we're gonna have like about 2 shank length with the fur extending out as well. So once you've measured this out, you want to separate the fur, one that's gonna go towards the back and towards the front. And here, with just a little bit of water, you can separate these quite well. And we're gonna tie this in right here at the back over the barb. And using this Nanosilk, you can really pull on this really hard, so your skin piece isn't gonna go anywhere. You can also secure this with a little bit of super glue if you want to, but I don't really have seen the use of it. So here I'm gonna go towards the front, getting the polar reflector flash, cut off a piece. And here, this material is then gonna have a way to tie this in, or if you see the strands here, they're gonna point toward a little bit down. So you want to get these laying towards the back when you tie these in. And here I'm tying this in the whole length of the body, so we don't get any bumps here right in the middle. And then back up again. And for the back hook, I usually do open spiral turns. The idea with this articulated style of flies, or this one, there are quite a few different kinds of articulated flies, but this one is The intention is to have a little lighter back hook and also a sparser back hook, so it's gonna flutter behind the more bulky, heavier front hook. So this one, what you want is to get this swimming action here at the back. So I'm gonna cut off the polar reflector flash, and here you don't have to be too fussy about this. Just push these down to each side, making way for the rabbit strip right in the middle, and then separating this again like we did at the back. Usually leave a little bit more of the fur here to tie this down as well, to get a little bit of bulk, and tie this down straight across. Try to get your skin piece to stay right in the middle and really pull tight on this. You don't want this to get loose. Then a few turns underneath, and then we can just cut this away as close as possible. A few turns to tidy up. If you'd like to, you can also add a little drop of super glue right here. I'm just gonna do a whip finish. A few turns, pull tight, cut this away. And there we have the back hook finished. And this in itself is a nice little streamer pattern. You just add 2 eyes on this one and you have a nice sonker. So get some super glue, and I'm just gonna put a little drop right on the skin. This way this is never gonna pull out from the thread. So there we have this one, and I already mentioned this, but what you want is to have this really streamlined back hook, quite sparse, just to get it to move as much as possible. Now we're gonna get this one out of the vise, put this one to the side to dry, and then taking the other hook, put this one in the vise, get this flat or horizontal. There we go. Now what we're gonna do is to measure out our articulated part, or our wire here in the middle. So get your wire here. As I said, this one is the Partridge pike wire and this one is the 26 pound. I like this to be a little bit heavier wire, just to get this, or to be a little bit stiffer, so you get this nice joint between the two. And here for the length of this one, if you tie a few of these, you're gonna maybe know the exact length. Here I'm gonna just cut this away about here, so you have this little loop extending out back. And here, don't use your best tying scissors, get some wire cutters and just cut this away. For now we're gonna leave this to the side, and we're gonna get back with the thread and tie layer down right to in between the point and the barb of the hook. These F314 and the B10S are more like a stinger shape on the hook, so you don't want to go too far down the bend, or you're gonna have your back articulation that's gonna lay a little bit down like this, and you're gonna get your second hook riding a little bit too much down. Now our back hook is dry and ready to go, so I'm just gonna grab the wire again. I'm gonna put this through the eye of the back hook. Get these two pieces of wire to align, and then to get the spacing right and also to get this a little bit stiffer as well, I'm gonna use a 3D bead. This one is a 6mm plastic bead, and these come in a whole variety of colors. For this one I think I'm gonna go with this one. It's the color brown. And then just push this over the two pieces of wire, and I like to just push this down right to the eye one time, and this is gonna fold this wire just a little bit, so it's gonna make this little place here for the back hook. And here for the spacing, what you want to do is to get the bead to lay on the front hook like this, and then you want to have about a bead length from the back of the bead to the eye of the back hook, and this seems pretty nice. And then the easiest way I found to tie this in is just to tie the two wires together and to get these to lay beside each other on the top, and then with the wire that's like spun around itself, it's gonna get the back loop to be completely vertical. But here you have to try this out a little bit for yourself to see which method goes the best for you. Gunnar Brammer has some videos explaining this in a lot more detail, and also fly tying or fly fishing the Ozarks does this another way. Just have to find the one that suits you the most, and then either for these a little bit smaller you can just cut the wire here in front the way and just tie this down. Here what I'm gonna do is to fold these back, and then it's never gonna go away. You will have your flies eaten up, get lost, and the hook will bend off before the wire will pull out. So this is really secure. And then doing this Mike Schmidt style, doing some cross turns right over, always on tension to get this to stay right in place. And what I like to do as well is to put a little or thin coat of super glue as well. There we go. Now we have the back hook and the front hook tied together, and we're gonna almost only repeat the steps that we did for the back hook for the front one, and then we're gonna be finished. So what you want to do for the front hook is to get the same body material as for the back one, or you can change this up to another color. Here I'm gonna go with the same one, this Rootbeer Polar Reflector Flash. Just tying this in the whole way down, and here, as I mentioned before, we want this to be a little bit bulkier in front, so here I'm gonna go with touching turns, folding the material back as I go, and this is gonna then make this little heavier dam of material here in front to push the water around. That's then gonna collapse down onto the back hook and get this nice articulating motion. Then tie off the flash, a few turns, pull this back, a few turns to secure, cut off the excess, pull everything back, a few turns to tidy up, There we go. Now get your piece of rabbit skin, and here we're gonna tie this in from the front this time. For the back part I like to tie it in at the back, it just gives me the right proportions. And here I'm gonna tie this in, taking or leaving about half a centimeter to a centimeter right in front of the skin extending. This way you tie down a few of these hairs that's gonna be here in front, and this is then gonna build up a little bit more of a dam of material, or just get this a little bit bulkier. And here with the Nanosilk you can really pull down on this, making sure that this isn't gonna go anywhere, and then cut this off quite close. You don't have to worry about how this is looking. We're gonna cover this up with some what's it called, some laser dub, and then for the length of this we want the skin to go right back to the start of the back hook. So don't pull on this too tight, just keep this a little bit under tension and cut straight across. So there we have this nice continuous back on the fly. I'm gonna show you a little bit more at the end. So there we go. I'm gonna put a little dash of super glue on this one as well. And here we're going with this brown trout color scheme, but you can really change up your colors for anything that you want. One of my favorites is this gray one with the golden eyes and the white and golden belly. But I've also done this like in rainbow trout colors or grayling and a few others. It's a really nice little pattern that you can really change up. Fish these in rivers, quite slim, really nice action in a little bit of faster water as well. So for the end, some laser dub. You can also tie this with some deer hair as the head. It's gonna take a little bit more time. It's also gonna have a lot more buoyancy, or float a little bit better, or float more, so it's gonna have a completely other action. So here what I've done is to just take a little clump of this yellow lace it up, and I'm just gonna pull this apart and stack this back together a few times. And here what I'm gonna do is to tie this right in the middle on the underside of the hook. Fold this back, try to get this to cover the whole under part, to get a little bit of spread around as well. And then I'm gonna take this Sculpin olive, and for the back you want to have a little bit more material than for the belly. This is gonna get your fly to ride the right way, to get this nice keel on it. So a few turns. Make sure to spread this around a little bit as well. Then in front. And brush these out as you go to get this really nice blend of colors. And then I'm gonna repeat this step another time, but here I'm just gonna go with the Sculpin olive, both for the belly and the back. So just a few strands for the belly, tie this down, and then repeat the same step for the back, and it's almost done. Pull all the materials back, get a few turns right in front, whip finish, pull tight, cut off your thread, and I'm just gonna brush this out. And last but not least, some eyes. These ones are called Volcano from Deer Creek. These ones are 6mm eyes. I'm gonna use some gel super glue to attach these. A drop in the middle, the size of the pupil. And I'm gonna put down the one on my side first. Try not to glue your fingers together. And then the other side, doing the same. And then push this down or together. And here, as we wait for the glue to dry, I can maybe explain a little bit more the thought behind this fly. So what we have here is like the third version of a fly that I've been tying for some time. So it all started out with this one, or like this one. And here we have almost the same fly. The only thing that's really changed is the head. So when I started tying this, I got really inspired by Andreas Andersson's ragdollies and the heads that they had. But I wanted something with a rabbit strip, so I just put together the Sid and the ragdolly to get this little creature right here. This one is really light, or both the rabbit skin and the deer hair in front. It's gonna get this to float really well, so you have a lot of hang time with this one. Works really well in small streams as well, with not a lot of water. This really flat head, or flat in this way, horizontal, is gonna get your fly to cut out to the sides just when you get a little bit of current going from one side to the other. And with this little lighter tail here on the back, it's gonna kick. And then, as I'm not the best at tying with deer hair, I thought, how could you make this a little bit easier, or to get to tie these a little bit quicker, also to get these down a little bit more. And then I decided to try out just with a dubbed head, but also keeping this quite flat and high profile on the fly. And this then turned out to look really like Bug Wild's streamers, these really streamlined, really nice ones with a lot of synthetic materials, and also laser dub in front. This one is like the same version, just with another head, and I like this one really much. So I've just continued tying this one, trying out a few different heads, or with or without UV resin. Here it's like the last ones, with UV resin going all around, but the profile of the fly hasn't changed that much. And now back to our one, and now time for some UV resin. I'm gonna coat the whole with some Deer Creek Diamond Fine Flex. So I'm just gonna go around over the eyes, in between the eyes, and over the other one. And this one, the Diamond Fine Flex, it's gonna keep a little bit of this rubbery feel to it, but it's also this fine UV resin, so it's gonna soak down into the material. So it's gonna really secure all this together. And working with UV resin, you want to do this in thin coats. You don't want to put the whole blob of material or blob of resin onto there and then don't know what to do with it. So here I'm gonna secure the top and then the bottom, making sure that you get the right profile that you want or the shape of the head. A few seconds, and then I'm just gonna continue going over with some UV resin, and with the second coat you're gonna see that this isn't gonna soak down into the materials as much as you already have the first coat on there. Using a needle you can push around a little bit of the resin to go where you want it to be. A few seconds with the UV torch, and just repeat this step till you get your fly looking the way you want it. And there we go. I think I'm quite happy with how this is looking. So there we have this little streamer. I don't have a name for this one, so if you want to suggest one, just leave it in the comment section below. And if you have some really nice names or some funny ones, you'll maybe be the one to name this one. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time, and happy tying.